Okay. Let's do this again. All right. Hello. Hello. My name is Cassandra. For those of you who may have heard, over a year ago, on July 13th, 2022, there was a mother who drowned in the Brigantine beach, and she drowned for trying to save her kids. I kind of wanted to talk about that and shed some, share the story as short as I possibly can, and also talk about God and talk about my experience with God. There will be 3 levels of this video, or three like settings of it. I don't know how you would call it, but anyway, I wanted to share just how everything, when God has a purpose for a person, he will make sure that everything is orchestrated to play out so that this person can continue to go on. So back in July 13th, I went to the beach with my 3 sons. And that's like that's been our place for about 2 years before the drowning. And that was a place where I can kind of get my peace with the kids. It's like relaxing. It was the perfect moment to be fully present. And sometimes that's hard for a parent, to be present, where there's joy, just pure joy and peace. So for me, it was always at the beach with my kids. And it just so happened that this day, the waves were a lot stronger, and there was like riptides. And when we went into the beach, my 2 youngest, they were in the sand, and I kind of like to let my oldest get a little bit of freedom. And I decided to go in, and we all were just taken in the beach, and I noticed that the waves were getting a bit stronger. So I told my oldest to come in, and he wasn't listening to me. He was just very excited to be in the ocean. So I went in to go grab him. And once I went in to go grab him, it was just from there. When I went in to go grab him, I just remember waking up and being at the hospital. And when I woke up in the hospital, I was confused. I remember experiencing things, which I'll talk about later in the videos, but I just remember experiencing things and having a lot of confusion. But I had a sense of peace because my mom was there and my dad was there. And I just knew I was okay. I knew that there was like things strapped onto me. But I don't want to get into that. I wanted to talk about during what was happening, the things that I didn't really know about until I met these people, which they're like God. God is in everybody, each and every one of us. And I don't think that I've heard about it enough growing up, just being in, Catholic schools and going to church, and like going into, Christianity and going to church. I don't think I've heard about it enough, or maybe I just wasn't listening as much as I should have. But I know that this scenario has taught me how God is in everyone, and how when God has a purpose for someone, he will make sure that everything is orchestrated to make sure that this person comes back. And the way that God had planned this out for me to come back was crazy. Beautiful, but crazy. Because when I drowned, there was somebody at the beach. I can't remember if they were further away. And big thank you to her. because she saw that, she was able to yell to the guy who was running to say, hey, go get the lifeguards, go get help. Who, if I'm not mistaken, he takes a different route to run. But it just so happens that day, he was running that way. And that woman was there seeing what had happened. So that woman was there to see what had happened. The guy was there and ran. He was able to run to the lifeguards who were just finishing practicing. And please, if I'm saying it wrong, this is what I remember from it, being told. They were done practice. They were able to make a call on a radio that they typically wouldn't have in their car to call for help. They had all the gear in their car to help me because they were practicing that day. And they got me out. When God wants something done, it will be done. And I don't want to go too deep in my experience just yet, but it took a lot of prayer. A lot of prayer. I know that it took so much. I don't even know like how my family had the strength to pull through, to have the ability to pray and trusting God and say, hey, God, you need to bring this girl back because she has 3 kids and it's not her time. Because it was a process after. You know, it wasn't an easy process for me coming back. The lifeguards brought me back, but then it's like the hands, the doctors, and how my family and the doctors just worked with one another. The unity within that, it's just mind-blowing. And the more that I hear about it, I don't ever want to come across egotistic, but I genuinely like hearing what happened and being told and how people express what they went through, because it is the physical, you know, it's to hear it, to believe it, to see it. I didn't see, you know, if I may not have saw God the way I was told from the Bible, but I saw God in every individual that is in this picture. I saw God in every eyes that were set on me, because they all had masks at the hospital. Some didn't have masks on. But the ones who did and the ones who didn't, their eyes alone. And how they shared their story and how they helped and how when I came out and I was told what happened, I already knew that if it was not for the prayers for the people who were praying for me, if it was not for the people and God planning everything to be divinely orchestrated the way it was, to have the help and support from everyone who helped, down to God is in everybody. I swear, he's in everybody and in everything. And it's a beautiful thing to know that it takes something like, it's tragic, but these are evidence of sign that God is in everybody and in everything. And when we're unified together, and I know that that's not easy sometimes, but it takes hard things to happen in order for us to see the beauty and the power that comes with being unified as one, and knowing that God is in all of us, and knowing that the power of just doing and being what you are in that moment, and how much change you can make in someone's life by just doing that. And honestly, I feel like, I mean, I can go on, and I don't want this video to be long, but I do want to share that God is real. And I know that sometimes it's hard to connect with God or truly believe that he is real, because we're expected to see, you know, this man with a long beard coming from the clouds. But just within my connection and how I connected with God before the accident, I knew that God was in like animals and everything, bugs, and, you know, people have their own opinion on how I view God, but I always knew that God was in everybody. But this was like the true form. I mean, I have saw the man the way we were taught, like the God or woman, whoever, divine source of all creation, God, maybe. But I definitely saw the people. And I definitely can say that I am proof of that by simply saying God is in everybody. And when God has a plan for people, he will use his people, which is all of us, to make it happen. And, you know, to the doctors, to the firefighters, to the lifeguards, to the guy running, and he's like a, I don't know if he's a track star, to that man running, to the lady seeing me, to everyone who was in the present moment to help me so that I can have this present moment. Just thank you. You know, I'm hoping that I can share my experience on a deeper level, because it was definitely a journey, and it took me a lot to kind of accept what happened, and also what happened even after being saved from these amazing people. There's a lot of that I had to really talk about and know that I'm not crazy. Like, I needed to know that it's okay to talk about these things. And I wanted to share this part to say that God is real. And if you ever, for any reason, doubt that, just know that he is. And I'm an example to say that he is, because I see it in people. And sometimes that might be hard to say, because, you know, I understand. I don't even want to go into details, but God isn't everybody and everything. And I hope that this will bring light to anybody who doubts that God is in everything, everyone, every living thing. So